Ladies and gentlemen, the Clemson dynasty is not over yet. I know that it's been a very long time since we last saw Clemson compete for a national championship. They haven't really been seen as a national championship contender for the last couple of years, but in 2025, that all changes because Clemson is in prime position to make another championship run. They have a lot of young players coming back on both sides of the football. On offense, you return three of your top receivers, Antonio Williams, who led the team in yards, catches, and touchdown receptions. And then you got Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore, who are outstanding as true freshmen. They enter their second season with Clemson. And then you got Cade Klubnik, who to me, without a doubt, is going to be a finalist for the Heisman Trophy this year. I mean, this brother was balling out against Texas because, I'm going to be honest, I always felt like Cade Klubnik was overrated up until I saw how well he played against Texas. I mean, this brother was out there throwing dots. He was making some NFL-level throws, and with how well he played against Texas, there's a lot of hype around him, not just being a finalist for the Heisman Trophy, but maybe he possibly could be the first quarterback taken off the board in the 2026 NFL Draft. This is somebody who accounted for 43 touchdowns this past season. He was unreal. Not only has he shown a lot of growth and development as a passer, but he's also a really good runner. And I think he's kind of somewhat of a diet version of Trevor Lawrence. And when I bring that up to people, they always kind of shake their head and say, nah, I don't think he's Trevor Lawrence. I don't get how people don't see the similarities in T-Law's game and Cade Klubnik's game. Like, I get it that Trevor Lawrence was an all-world talent, but I don't think there's too much of a big gap between him and Cade Klubnik in terms of them skill set-wise. They both are really good runners. They have really good arms that can make tight window throws. You know, with Cade Klubnik entering year 3 under offensive coordinator Garrett Riley, I think the best has yet to come from this Clemson offense because this past season they were 23rd in points per game, 33.5 they were putting up, and they were 15th in yards per game offensively. So can you imagine how good this offense is going to be with Cade Klubnik being a veteran in this system under a guy in Garrett Riley who probably is going to end up being a head coach around this time next season? You know, there's a lot to be excited for when it comes to the potential of how explosive Clemson is going to be offensively. Without a doubt, this is the most talented offense in the ACC going into 2025. And defensively, you should have a top 25 defense this year as well because you return the majority of your starters on this side of the ball. You return 3 out of 4 starters when it comes to your pass rush. Defensive end TJ Parker, 11 sacks, led the team. Freshman linebacker Sammy Brown had 5 sacks. He's going to be a sophomore next year. You got interior defensive lineman Peter Woods coming back, and you return all but 1 starter in the secondary. When you have a team that returns this much experience, especially with a lot of the guys who played for Clemson being underclassmen who are now going to be like juniors, I don't think that Clemson is built to make a run in 2025, but they are built to also make a national championship run in 2026 as well. It's taken a while for Clemson to rebuild and get back to what they used to be because they don't really use the transfer portal as much, although they have kind of started to get their feet wet in the portal. They're bringing in 2 transfers. They bring in an edge rusher from Purdue and a wide receiver who is really good at the FCS level. So they're getting there. And Dabo Swinney said that money ain't really the problem. They got plenty of money to throw around there. So if you thought that the Clemson dynasty was over and you've been counting out Dabo Swinney saying that Clemson's never going to be a national contender again, you might want to start rethinking that because right now, if I were to tell you my top 5 teams way too early, 2025, before the season, before we even get to spring, Clemson is definitely on that list. This is one of the best rosters in college football. When you think about what Clemson brings back on offense at wide receiver and on defense. Now, they do have a pretty tough schedule. We're going to find out how good Clemson is really early because how many of y'all knew this, but they opened the season playing LSU. I didn't even know that this was a game, but it's going to be really exciting because the same thing that I'm saying about Clemson, you can kind of say about LSU as well. Then you got to play South Carolina on the road. You got to play Georgia Tech on the road as well. Then you got to play Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels. Those are going to be four of the toughest games for Clemson this year. That's going to show a lot about how good this team actually is going to be and can they actually live up to these lofty expectations that I am bestowing upon them. But I don't think the Clemson dynasty is over yet. I really think that 2025 is going to be a renaissance year in terms of Clemson being back in the national championship discussion, because I've been a huge hater of Cade Klubnik over these last couple of years, but I'll be lying to y'all if I say that he didn't kind of make me turn a corner with him with how well he played against Texas. I mean, he made a lot of impressive throws, and Dabo Swinney still is a great coach. You know, I still think he's one of the best in the game, but with everything Clemson has coming back, I think the stars are perfectly aligned for them to make a national championship run this year.